So in the next part, we're actually going to look at the clients type that are phoning in. So we know we have our gold, silver, and platinum clients. And we know that a certain number of calls come in per day. So now we actually want to look at, okay, but what fraction of those calls are coming from platinum clients, silver clients, and gold clients? Okay, so if you go back to my data, over there, we'll see we have this, this variable here, which is client type, which shows us our client type. So we're going to analyze that. And the good news is we're going to use the same stuff that we did previously to actually analyze what the client or what the profile of the calls are on a client basis. So the steps that we're going to follow this far is we're first going to look at the counts per day for those categories. Then we're going to look at the variability of those counts per day, and then we're going to calculate a percentage for each category per day. So this is what we've done now for each one of those. Okay, so to start off with, we're again just going to ask R to calculate a table for us. So in this case, I want R, so let's just copy it because I'm very lazy. I'm just going to say R, please calculate the count for the different clients using the data set. So I'm not going to do it per day immediately. I'm just going to say client type, and let's see what spits out. So it shows that of all our calls that came in, 1,300 was gold, 2,200 was platinum, and 22,000 were silver clients. Okay, so we see that we get about the same number of platinum calls and silver calls and less gold calls. Okay, but this, again, aggregate figures, we want to make sure that it doesn't vary per day or that there's something going on. So let's redo that per day. So again, I'm just going to copy that. So there we have our date of call, and instead of agent requested, we just need to make that client type. Okay, and let's see what happens there. So there it actually spits it out. It tells us our fraction of calls per client type. Again, I think that is gold, that one is platinum, that one is silver. And it's all the other way around, I'm not sure. It's fairly consistent, the number of calls that we're actually getting within those groups. Okay, so ideally I want this to, again, be a probability table. So let me just save that thing there. So I'm going to say the table there is not agent calls. Here I want client type calls per day is equal to the table client types. So we can run that. Let's just make sure it actually gives us the same output over here. Okay, so let's calculate that. There we have it. So let's see what that table looks like. That's the big one over there. So again, I want it per day of week. I don't just want it as aggregates. Okay, so let's repeat that quickly. Okay, and there we have our bar plots. So let's see what the actual data looks like. So there we have our counts per day for our gold calls, platinum calls, and silver calls. Again, you can see those two are pretty much the same throughout the study period. Okay, so let's quickly do the probability table. So again, I'm just going to copy and paste here. We now want it for that one over there. So boom, there we have that. Let's count it in, and there we have our percentages already indexed, which is what I don't want. Okay, so let's try again. And there we have it. So we have about 23% comes from gold clients, 38% from platinum, 38% from silver, and that's for day one. Then it's for day 2, day 3, day 4, everything. So let's just draw a bar plot on that. And there we have it. So you'll see it's fairly consistent, a little bit of variability over there, but it's pretty much consistent, which is good. So we can use this for information to actually determine our staffing requirement. Okay, so let's just call this something useful. Probability call client type per day. There we have that. So now we want to get a sense of how many calls can we expect per day from the different client groups. Okay, so in this case, we're not interested in just one row. We're actually interested in all 3 rows. So for gold, platinum, and silver, we're going to calculate a mean to get a sense of what is the fraction of calls that are coming from that group. Okay, so let's say percentage of gold calls is the first one. So we're going to call that equal to prop table row 1. Okay, so let's see what it gives us if I did this correctly. So there we have the fraction of gold calls per day. Okay, so let's repeat that for silver and platinum. So the second one is platinum, that's the second row. And the third one is silver, which is the third one. Okay, so we can do that. So then we have this one, and we have that one. So we have all of them. So again, we can use summary information on each one. You can say, okay, just give me a summary of what the gold calls look like. Okay, so again, very small range there. I'm not going to do it for the other ones, but at least now we can get sort of a fraction of, during a day, what fraction do we expect to come from gold, platinum, and silver clients. Okay, so let's do that. Let's just say percentage gold. No, don't finish that for me. R, percentage plat, percentage silver. It's equal to this, and that's just going to be the mean of that. Mean of that and mean of that. Okay, so we have our three values there. Percentage gold is about 23%. Platinum is 22 because I'm just copying the same thing over and over again. So let's just fix that quickly before I carry on. Okay, try again. Per plat, 38. Per silver is equal to 22. Okay. Seems a bit low actually. That's better. Okay, not sure what happened there. Let's write it again. Percentage gold, that's 22. Percentage plat, 38. Percentage silver, also 38%. Okay, so we now know what percentage of calls that come in are going to belong to each one of those actual groups. So the next thing we can do is we can convert this to a number. So we can say the number of gold calls that we expect once our client base increases to 200,000. So that's going to be our percentage of gold calls times the number of calls per day new. Okay, so in plat calls, it's going to be our percentage of platinum calls multiplied by the number of new calls that we're expecting with our customers, and then the last one is in silver calls. Okay, then that is equal to our percentage of silver calls multiplied by the number of calls per day. Okay, so let's just run these three quickly and see what the values are. So in gold, so we expect about 576 calls from gold customers during a day with 100,000 customers, 976 calls from platinum customers when we have 100,000 customers, and then 978 calls from silver clients once we have 100,000 customers. Okay, so we're getting really close to where we want to be. So we want to know what is the number of calls per group that will require an agent. So this at the moment just tells us how many guys are going to call in. It doesn't yet tell us whether they're going to request an agent or actually do the self-prompt. Okay, so we need to calculate that as well. Now it's very tempting to do the following. So it might seem that we're very close to being finished. So it's quite tempting to do the following. Let's just say the number of gold calls that require an agent is simply the number of gold calls that we expect once we have 1,000 customers times the percentage of calls that will require an agent. Because remember, we actually already calculated that. So it's very tempting to just do this. Say, okay, we're expecting 577 calls from our gold customers. And we know the fraction of calls that require an agent is 55, so we expect 55% of those 576 calls from our gold clients to require an agent. Okay, so the number of gold calls coming in a day that require an agent is going to be 319. And then, yeah, we have a final answer. Then we just need to look at the required ratio for a number of gold callers. Okay, so that's given the document as 1 to 20, I think, or 40, I'm not sure. Let me just go up. there, so it's 1 per 20. So for every call, 20 calls we get from silver clients, we need one dedicated agent. So for every 20 calls expected that require an agent from the gold group, we will need one agent. Okay, so to figure out how many agents we need, all we have to do is to say, okay, let's just take that divided by 20. So we need 15, we have to round that up, so we need 16 agents on the gold line. Okay, so it seems like we're done with the question. There's just one big problem, and we've made an assumption here that we don't know whether it's valid. So the assumption there is that the fraction of clients that call in and request an agent is actually the same for the gold group, platinum group, and silver groups. Okay, so we assume the probability of a call requiring an agent is not dependent on the status of that client. So we're saying gold clients are just as likely as requesting an agent as platinum clients and as silver clients. Okay, so this is an assumption that we've made, and we've not looked at the data when we actually made that assumption. Okay, so in the next video, we're actually going to critically look at that assumption and then see whether it's true or not. If it's true, then great. We can just carry on using this approach over here. If it's not true, then we're going to have to look at this, this equation a little bit differently. So we're going to have to figure out a way to get to the number of gold calls that will require an agent and to get to an accurate number.